is.
So we have been growing our YouTube channel pretty successfully.
Hi, YouTube. I'm the annoying one making videos about your fast food habits. Yes, thank you for.
I'm the one that's making all these hints about what's really going on inside. But so we're having our live today. Excuse me. I'm facing you, podcast style.
Good job. Good job. We're doing these as the ask AMA, ask me anything, but we're doing AUA because ask us anything. So we're, of course, not conforming to things as per usual.
So we're going to talk to each other, and then as things pop in, we'll be happy to field it. Well, I'm excited because one of the biggest things that came up for us after about 2 years of really working hard on trying to nail down the exact what are we doing. The aha moment, of course, you channeled it in just fine. The inner world and the outer world. So and that was like the big...
There's a story, if you'd like me to tell it.
Please.
So when we started building this concept of working with men and helping men come back to themselves, and Jeremie's history with men's work became the point, your journey. And it became really clear because your journey with that and the group you're in and how people come to you consistently to look for leadership and support. It was like, hello. So when we kind of realized that, like, that's the thing, that this is a space we need to be working in. And I said, okay, cool. Yes, that's obviously it. And okay, cool. Where do I fit? Because I can't be in the men's circle, but I've done a lot of work with men on my own. So how do I participate in this now, moving forward, dealing with the public, showing up,
Yeah, that was a challenge because we wanted, it was very clear, we wanted to be doing this integrally together, like very, very tightly. But then the more we explored what you were just talking about, a huge distance just started to form between us, where I was the front facing guy and then you were like the support to that. And it just still didn't feel right. And it was missing the magic.
Yeah. So it would have been fine. That would have worked, but it would have put me back in that support role instead of the partnership role. So when I was in Florida in the end of February, beginning of March, and I got this feng shui book that I hadn't read yet. And I've been into feng shui for a long time. And the transformations that have happened for me have been profound and hilarious. So when I had this book, I'm sitting by the pool, and it's the feng shui guide room by room. And I haven't read it yet. And, it's been around for a long time. So I sat down with this book, and there's this spiral image in the beginning of these words. And feng shui changes your inner world, which enhances your outer world. No, sorry, it starts off backwards. Feng shui work is the outer world, which enhances your inner world, which enhances your outer world. So as within, so without, right?
Yeah.
We understand this concept. As above, so below. As within, so without. So I was just reading this spiral in this very like peaceful Zen moment. As within, so without. And I was like, oh, that is the thing. And I've been using feng shui for a long time. And it occurred to me that men don't typically, in the Western culture, look for or learn feng shui. It's mostly, female-dominated teachers and in general, women who typically do this in the Western world. In the Eastern world, there's a lot more men who are feng shui teachers. And for me, Western feng shui was taught to me by Ro Rosnock, Elements and Energy, and she's still teaching this, and she's wonderful and amazing. And when I learned it from her, it was the coolest thing for me was understanding what had already happened. So it wasn't like I went and learned a thing and then I made it happen. It was like I understood what had already happened with these, like we call them feng shui eyes. So, which sounds weird, but it's kind of the ability to see it. So I saw all these things in my life, things that I had already intuitively done that worked, that made sense. Just the way you decorate your home, the way you set up your furniture, the way you create spaces you spend time in, all of it made sense to me. And I started really applying it on a very, very big level. And then working with other people and teaching classes and helping other people with it and seeing these just really cool things happen. So one of my friends said, hey, do you want to come feng shui my office? And I'm thinking like, a room. But this was a business with multiple rooms and lots of offices, lots of spaces. And that opportunity helped me understand the value of this and being able to see what's going on in an environment that is in the way or holding someone back or creating problems, that it's a lot of subconscious stuff. So one of the coolest things about that project, that evaluation and feedback and everything, was there was 3 or 4 major things that happened that were a huge catalyst for him. So there was a room in the building that had a whole pile of boxes and stuff. Like it looked like a storage closet in someone's office. And I immediately I said, what is that? Why is that there? And he said, oh, that's some stuff that we bought for this project and it ended up going south and never got used. I said, so bad juju? So I said, how do you feel about that pile? Well, every time I look at it, it pisses me off. I'm like, that pile is sitting in your relationships corner of your business. So is it funny that a bad relationship left evidence physically in this? So anyway, he just like, oh my gosh, we'll move that now. I'm like, yeah, move that. And so relationships, it's not just romantic relationship, it's business relationship, it's every kind of relationship. So, I'm working with this man and he's like tangibly getting it, like, oh, well, duh. And then we went into another room and it was like dark, shut down. I said, it doesn't look like anybody uses this space. He said, yeah, we don't. This is, this area used to be used a lot more, but now it's really not. And I said, okay. And so I turned the light on in there and there's a big crack in the floor, like they had a concrete finished floor. I said, there's a big crack in here. What's up with that? And like, oh, just, we need to fix it. We just haven't. I was like, well, this is like your fame and reputation area in feng shui, which means how the world sees your company, and you're not using it. It's dark in here and there's a big crack in the floor that's being neglected. He went, holy shit. So I said, you have the right resources to fix this. So we did. And there was a couple other things, but the point of this is like, there was 3 or 4 major things that stood out just in that hour that I spent with him. And when he fixed it, he's like, I don't know what kind of magic you got going on, but I'm going to call you my lucky charm, because we just closed $1 million deal that had been waiting and stuck. And, like all these things happened for him. And I'm like, yeah, because it's real. It's weird. So the outer world reflecting the inner world is so tangible to me. And the way I see these environments is so real to me. And it's basically screaming, it's, it's almost like, wow, how do you not see that? But a lot of people don't see what their subconscious is screaming at them in their environment. So with working with men, and I've worked with several men in this capacity, it's always clear to me what's going on and where they're not in their power, where they're hiding from something. And I don't have to be able to do emotional processing with them. I just have to show them that it's a thing. But with us doing this together, then I can say, all right, well, this is the thing that I'm seeing. You need to work with Jeremie on ABC, whatever process, and sort this out. So Feng Shui for Dudes was born while I sat by the pool looking at that book, because men need this, but learning all of the different reasons doesn't need to happen. And this is really a very direct approach to what makes sense and what men need and what men want, and how to build a world that really brings out their own authentic power and truth and expression of who they really are. So it doesn't mean putting wind chimes and candles and dragons and things, unless you like that stuff. But it just makes so much sense. And I love doing it so much because of the tangible results that I've seen and continue to see.
What? Yeah, because what really stood out to me the day we met was I came over here and I saw what you've created in your home. Mm-hmm. And I remember how much I felt like I want to be a part of this world. Little did I know, but still.
Yeah.
But to your point about men needing these things, the more that we work together, the more it becomes very clear to me that one of the biggest benefits is that, well, I remember when we met, I had intentionally, to the extent that I could, modeled my little one-bedroom apartment. I had created like little mini spaces within it, and there was one that was completely empty. But to say that I created spaces,
do you want to share which space was completely empty?
It was wealth and abundance, wasn't it?
It was. It was.
Because it was the back of the kitchen area that I had no dining table.
It was where the dining table and the connection and the abundant food and the sharing should have gone, but there was no table and nothing on the walls.
No. There was a dry erase board, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
But
well, your space, and when we met, your space was your dark night of the soul cave, is what I would call it. The process you were going through, just your own experience was very much reflected in that space. It was your safe, cozy.
Yeah, it was the first time in years I was able to put something and said that's where it goes, and then nobody was there to give me some contrary view as to why I was completely wrong.
And then it's there later. Nice. Yeah. So you finally had a space that you owned that was very simple and very clear, and it was obvious where you were and what you were going through. So, and
I liked historic pieces. So above my TV, I had 3 framed historic newspapers, and like everything in my apartment was so still and old and quiet.
What was on those newspapers?
One of them was the invasion of D-Day. One of them was the moon landing. One of them was, something else, another historic.
So draw your own conclusions about what energy it brings in, putting that kind of stuff on your wall. That is also real. You do have to love it, but if you want to put pictures of war in your home or things related to that, I don't recommend art that is depressing, sad, chaotic, or full of war, personally. But there's things that you can hang on your walls that bring you a feeling of power and fulfillment and enjoyment.
Well, that's more to the point, because say we meet with someone and they don't feel empowered in their life in general, and we go through some processes and they uncover where they're feeling disempowered in their life. Mm-hmm. Well, they get excited about it, but if they go home to a laundry pile or just just a functional home, one of the biggest things that you bring to the table is helping them find the way to bring the power that they've just rediscovered and put it into their home, so that their life is a reflection of what's going on inside. And at first blush, that might sound, it'd be good if we can do it. But I can tell you, when you finally have a chance to experience that, it is life-changing. Yeah. And it completes the work and creates a container for the work to continue to do the work. Because just because you have a wake-up call to something going on inside doesn't mean that that's all you need about it. Sometimes it takes repetition and continued safety for your nervous system to get in touch with whatever the discovery was. Mm-hmm.
Well, the other thing is where you were when we met, you had been doing men's work for 5 years. but your outer environment wasn't reflecting that yet because you were going so deep into it. So you were doing so much inner work that your outer environment was literally like a cave. It was like a safe place that, you know, it's not here to have people over. It's here for me to feel safe and go away. And that's the symptom of, you start doing the inner work, you're eventually going to be like, okay, I'm not comfortable. I need to come out of my cave. I need to go see what's going on in the world. And that was, you know, what you had been doing that year, was kind of poking out and like meeting people and dating and trying to figure out where you fit in the world. So that symptom was showing up in your desire to be in the world again, but not so much showing up in your environment. And I think that's something that men typically do, is they don't really think about their home as more than a space to be or a place to crash, or, you know, where I keep my stuff.
Well, there's a meme out there that's really sad but accurate, which is, after a breakup, this is a man's dream home. And it's like a mattress on the floor in a living room, and across from the mattress is a milk crate with a TV on it and a game console, like, and a piece of lamp next to the mattress. And there's so many men that can look at that and go, oh, that looks like heaven.
Well, and that's a recovery space. That's a not a growth space. That's not a successful space. That's a crash pad. I mean, it's literally called that.
Yeah.
We call it that. And that's okay when you're in college, or when, you know, when you're single, or when you have the bachelor pad thing going. And these phases in our lives are all part of being human and growing. But when you're ready to start up leveling, moving into that next phase of your life, and owning who you are and what you want, and creating something that's really important to you, that no longer works. And I mean, I think you said before I met you, you had a freaking mattress on the floor before you got an actual bed. Yeah. So these things are all said with love and without judgment, because they're just symptoms, and they're just talking to us. They're just telling us where things are at.
Oh, I remember what's funny is my workspace, because I had a corporate job. Couple times that I've had corporate jobs, my desk is not decorated at all. And other than like maybe a pen and some paper, like a notepad, you'd think I just got fired. And I remember at my workspace, the last job I had, they finally just brought me something. Can you like put this on your desk? So like, because there would be so many times managers would walk by and go, did he quit? Like, no. Where is he? Like, he works there. Like, they're used to seeing so many decorations brought from home.
Well, I think that we could talk about why that is, if you'd like to. Yeah. If you'd like to express that. Did you feel like you had a right to take up space in the world?
I think it was, that's a good question. I don't know.
To be present and be seen? I mean, I already know the answer to these things. I'm not trying to throw you off. I think the ghost program is the thing I'm asking about. Because if you feel like you have a space to be in this world and to be seen and to be known, and, you know, to put your energy somewhere. I mean, do you think that I feel like safe to put my energy in this space that we're sitting in? I mean, obviously this is what I love, and it's surrounding me, and it's colorful, and it's me, and this is what I do. But
I know there's that's true about me. There's another factor. It's a little bit more evolved, because I've had lots of desk jobs where I would decorate. Yeah. And I realized that the decorations were performance and a costume.
That is also true.
And so for me, authentic. I was so uninterested in that part of me, that I didn't bring jack shit to my desk. Right. And I remember,
you didn't bring anything authentic either. You didn't bring any performance. None of this is performance.
No, this is all you.
This is me and what I love and how I feel. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Some people will be like posturing and trying to impress somebody.
Yeah, like here's the me I want you to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember once I had a job. It only lasted 3 months, but they even gave me a fish tank, a little teeny fish, like the rectangular fish tank, about like that big.
You need fish.
So like, would you like some fish? I'm like, sure. So they not only did they give me the fish tank, but the owner of the company bought me a little fish.
Yeah.
And then I brought my daughters over, and they gave the fish names, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
But I had nothing else on my desk. So at the end of 90 days, when they said, no, you're not working out. The vice president of the company, David, he was so great. He's just like, I remember about an hour later, I got a call from him and he asked, "Hey, do you need any help? Like packing up your desk or stuff?" I'm like, "I'm already at home." He goes, no. "Wait, what?" He goes, "What about your stuff on your desk?" I'm like, I've already got it. I think I had a notepad.
But the fish.
He goes, "Well, don't you want the fish?" I'm like, "Not really."
Yeah, no.
Like
someone else can.
I wanted a job, not a chore.
Not a pet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's true. So I think that there's always different elements and aspects of these things. When you have an empty desk, it's better to work in that space. It's less cluttered. I mean, this space, I have to consistently unclutter it because I create piles and I multitask and have 8 projects going on. And then before I know it, what's within the camera's sight is fine, but there's stuff everywhere else. And I have to reset this room. And that's part of this is ownership of your space, caring about yourself enough. Your nervous system can relax when your environment is settled. So it doesn't have to be sparse and empty, but it has to be appropriate and settled and feel good. So,
well, to boil this down to really simple brass tacks, the ultimate place that we want men to be is balanced and authentic and grounded and very self-aware and working with a plan that guides them to where their life should look like based on their values and based on what's true for them. And when the nervous system and the body feel safe, then the inner world and the outer world working together creates a very powerful combination that changes everything. When I don't like the way I feel, I can do a small adjustment just to my workspace. Right. Even if it's just cleaning it up. Yeah. Those things that we take for granted as a solution are greater than what we're accustomed to hearing them defined as. Like, hey, just clean up your desk. It'll help your mind. Well, we know that, but what it really means is that a part of you inside that is trying to express itself or need something has now been given more room to be what it wants to be, which is always to our benefit, by just cleaning up a spot, by moving a thing, by not putting something there. Those little actions make a huge difference.
Yeah, and that's the point. The little actions are the only thing that matter. You don't have to overhaul everything at once. Just take a small thing and take care of it. One drawer, one shelf, one bookcase, taking everything off of a bookcase, dusting it, and then looking at everything on it and asking, is this really representative of who I am and where I'm going? When I see this, does it remind me of something that makes me feel gross? Who gave this to me? Do I still want their energy connected to me? This energy is real. And if you don't believe energy is real, this may be the wrong channel for you. But when I say energy, I'm talking about the connection that we as humans have to all of our stuff and our environment and each other. So an energy thing would be, okay, I have this, I don't know, random thing. I have this thing. Oh, here's a good example. I have this bamboo Lego set, and I love it because Jeremy gave me this for Valentine's Day this year. And I love it because it's bamboo, which is, lucky bamboo. Funny thing, I was thinking about getting a lucky bamboo plant, and then he got me this. I love Legos and puzzles. And I don't have to water it because I'm not so good at taking care of plants. The plants up on top are pothos, and they require very little maintenance. But this is a really great example. I love this. What's behind it is my speak and spell from my childhood. The little thing next to it, which you really can't see, is a rainbow snake from a school in Australia made by children that I bought. So everything that I have has like a reason and a heart to it. It's things that I care about and things that mean something to me. And if we let our environments, just start yelling at us and don't give it that respect, then we can be surrounding ourselves with old stories and crap that doesn't matter and associations we don't need to hold on to anymore.
Yeah, here's a simple one. Do you like having your back to the door? Do you like having your back to the entrance to your cube? No.
We were talking about cubicles.
Unless you're psychotic and you enjoy being stressed out all day, and if like you have a desire for cortisol, then that's the way to get it. It's a lot more than just being uncomfortable.
We were talking about cubicles yesterday morning, and it's like the way they were designed and what they do to humans and how people function. And
I forgot the name of the guy, but he worked for Herman Miller, and the original intent of a cube was the lower walled ones, and to make everything modular so that entire sections of people could all be mingling. And that the idea, it's funny to read the story of the cubes, but anyway, the bottom line is the guy who created the cube later said, I regret Frankenstein's invention more than anything else I've done in my life, because it did, like, boop, everyone's now separate on the deepest level.
Yeah, and it's interesting because everybody has a different work style and needs for productivity. So those low cubes, to me, if I'm working in a room where there's a bunch of that and I can kind of see in my peripheral like everything going on, I just can't. It's too much noise. It's environmental noise. It's just too much. I need to have an ability to focus and be in my own space. Some people thrive in that, and it's really, if you throw everybody into the same situation and expect them to adapt, you're just going to end up with a mess. So some people need their own office with a door, and some people do great sitting at a table with 8 other people all day. And I think that that's part of what's missing in our workplaces is that communication on what do you need? Where do you fit? What works for you? How are you going to be most productive as an employee and as a participant in the space?
Well, to the practical part of what we're offering, when we work with someone to help them uncover what's true and to get them on, like everyone has a goal. Everyone has some sort of a particular reason why they want to have coaching or they need some help. And whatever that case is, being able to give them a set of tools for every area of their life, it's hard to overstate the value of having your home or some part of your everyday work life, some part of your everyday environment to reflect what's going on inside. You can't understate the value of that. As I said earlier, when you have a container that's creating your growth and a safe place for you to continue your growth, then it starts to just become bigger and bigger in ways that they're all very unconscious and they're all very deliberate and they're very important. And it's a huge value we're bringing to people's lives to be able to do that.
Yeah, the inner and outer work is entwined very deeply. So being able to throw the ball back and forth, is really helpful. I had one friend, I was doing an evaluation of his space, and I was kind of walking through. He had a house he was living in, and I looked at this one room and I was like, so tell me about this room. And he immediately just was like, just could feel that shut down. And it's like, I just use it for storage, and I hide stuff in there and I never use it. And, so you keep the door closed and the lights off and it's full of stuff. Like, okay. And I said, so this is in your family and your physical health space of your home. So is this a physical health issue, or is this a family relationship? And it was like I called him out unintentionally on such a deep level that it was like, it was so clear to him that his subconscious was doing that. And he acknowledged it and said, well, this is what it is. And so at that place, I don't have necessarily the tools to take him into a space that you do. But if I said, I've got somebody who you need to talk to because this is a thing that happened and it's deep and it's big. And then there's a space for him to be able to start picking and processing through that. And that could take a long time when you really shut down a part of your life and you're hiding from it and you're scared of it and it's really still traumatic to you. The outer world, like you could fix that room up, but what's true is that inner world needs that work too. So that's the gift of being able to do both. And if I said to you, this is what I see, then you would have a tool and a process and a practice to lead him through.
So here's the generality, and it works. So as far as the generality goes, I think it's a pretty solid one. Mm-hmm. In all my years, even before I knew how to do any of the things I'm doing now, I've discovered that certain things are true. Mm-hmm. I mean, statistically, they're so true, they might as well be 100%. They're not the same, like, again, generality. It's not everybody. But I have yet to see someone whose world has clutter in it that ultimately doesn't discover they have ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. And whether or not it's ADHD or not, I mean, I'm just talking about the typical path that most people go in their discovery phase, because the world offers a very quick path to medication.
Right.
But more than that, a lot of people who wants to think that they have an issue with their own mind.
Well, and it's, ADD, ADHD, any kind of neurodivergence, the world we live in, most people have some form of something going on because honestly, we're human beings and we're not very good at acknowledging and clearing and looking at and doing this work. So yeah, there's always something to do. So I think that's the part of it that is important to me is this is an onion you're peeling a layer of. You take a little bit, you make a little change, you see an inner change, then you see an outer change, then you do this thing. And it's a journey of small changes over time. And then when you do this inner work, you won't tolerate living in an environment that doesn't match your inner world. Like
it'll just be uncomfortable.
Up. The enhancing levels up each time you peel away a layer away. And it's real. And I've seen it so much now. And I've seen so many people have these aha moments of, oh my gosh, that's what that is. Yeah.
So some of the things I've seen over the years, when I look back and I'm able to reflect with what I know now, the most interesting people that I've met, like in any time I've worked in an office environment and everyone has to decorate their cube, I've noticed that the people that I respected, that I felt were really authentic, tended to have a very Spartan but very intentional space in their work environment. And usually there was like an inspirational quote or something on the wall.
Yeah.
And I realized that was literally them communicating, not only back to themselves, but to the people in the world, is like, hey, you can feel better. I've noticed these similarities in so many patterns. Like I said earlier, I know a few people that have a lot of clutter. And when, whenever it comes up in a conversation, they're like, no, what I can do up here is fine. It just is as if the two worlds don't exist or something, and they're not attached at all. It's just like, and sure enough, at this stage in our lives, they're discovering, oh, I think I have ADD. Another person's like, I think I have this. I think I have that.
Right.
Even the way we dress, because I remember overcoming some things in 2019, and suddenly I started finding colorful clothes. And by colorful, it's kind of a stretch of the word colorful, but still, which is another good point. If one of the first things that you change is your wardrobe, that's no small feat, because that's your outer world.
Well, it's also how you show up and how people perceive you. So showing up, taking care of yourself, grooming, hygiene, wardrobe, jewelry, whatever you do that expresses you tells a story to everybody you encounter. So people will make up shit about you the second they see you, because we're humans and that's what we do. We judge,
Yeah, we make meaning of everything we see.
Judgment is our perceiving and understanding of everything around us. It's not a bad thing. It's how we survive. So how we show up in the world and what we wear and how we dress and how we wear our hair, like this stuff is always speaking to the world around us. And we get to decide how we want to be perceived and how we want to express ourselves, and whether we're, full of shit or whether we're being authentic. So it's also related, and it's fascinating to see how that works. and how real it is, and how many times you can connect an inner situation that someone is unaware of to an outer expression of it that their subconscious has put there. And that happens with feng shui in both ways. A lot of people that I've worked with will unconsciously know they won't do it. They'll just decorate their house in a certain way. And then they'll get this validation when I'm like, oh yeah, you put this in this area and that does this for this thing. And they're like, wow, I did that all intuitively. I said, yeah, because you are following what feels good to you and what makes sense to you. And that's what's cool, is that validation. So when you see someone who has a Spartan office with an inspirational quote, your subconscious is like, I want to be like that. Like, that feels good to me. And that's it's like, pull me in that direction. How do we get closer to that? How do we, show up that way? And I think that that's the point.
I don't know too many people that really are expressive and full of personal balance, and they feel confident and generally competent in their life, and they're always wearing black. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I know lots of people that are successful, like barbers and tattoo shop owners and things like that, and they love black, but I'm just saying in general, it's rare. I mean, if it's no coincidence that if you know somebody who's very conservative and they're wearing very conservative clothes, like, you don't meet somebody who's a hippie and they wear a polo shirt and khakis, like, it's just,
yeah, that's the expression. And again, you can alter how people see you by putting on that costume, but what's going to serve you is to put on your authentic true self and what you love about, so you attract people that like that. And then you have authentic relationships with people who share values and want the same thing.
Ultimately, like we said, though, if we help somebody have a breakthrough, obviously what's great for that person is for the breakthrough to continue to do its work.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes the breakthrough is like, aha, and then they level up. Other times that breakthrough is just like a whole bunch of amazing seeds that are growing really fast, but they still need time to grow. And having an environment that's going to foster that's, I guess if we're going to use plants as an analogy, then your outer world is a lot like the soil and the fertilizer and the place that attracts the butterflies and the bees and all the birds and the animals come nibble, and like it's
building a garden. I would like to say one thing about that. It's also been a very strange. This is the magic secret, and I put this in the beginning of the book because it's so real and so weird.
Secrets.
It's a secret. I called it a super secret thing or something like that. So if you're watching this video right now, if you're paying attention to what we're doing, there's part of you that's already changing. There's part of you that's already moving towards and into this next level. You have that desire and your subconscious is pulling you towards this. If you've seen videos online say, if you're seeing this video, then it's for you. Like, that's kind of what I'm saying. But if you're staying here and you're listening and you're resonating with this, then pay attention to that. When you follow what you're drawn to and stick with what you're interested in and what really pulls you, you'll move forward faster. So the super secret thing is that follow your heart, follow your feelings, follow your intuition. And if you hire us to do work for you in any capacity, this has happened. I've gotten to a couple people's places and they're like, oh, I already figured it out. I'm like, no, you already pushed the button and said start, but you're in 10 seconds in. We got to go the full hour. So there's this tendency to say, oh, I got it. But what you've done is you've started your journey and you've started to unroll that path. So now you've built the possibility of that fertile soil. We can bring some seeds, you can bring some fertilizer, and then we create this garden that becomes your life and attracts butterflies.
So this is a good place to explain how they can get a hold of us.
Oh, yeah.
There's 3 ways that you can interact with us if you want to take this further. The first one is Andrea and I coach, and the information will be, there's a place you can reach us right in the description of the video, and we're going to add that and how you can get a hold of us that way. There's another way too, which is we have lovingly put together one heck of a library.
The King's Archive, we call it.
And it's got meaningful stuff in it. I mean, this is not just some crap we threw together in GPT so we can get emails. We have a huge value to give you, and it's free. And if you follow the link in the description, once this video is posted, we'll put the links in there for you. You can just go and get it and see what it does for you. These are things you can start using today, like right away.
We made a quiz called, I think it's called Knight or King. It's called a couple different things in different places, but it's kind of an assessment of where you are now. So it's an assessment of your outer world. A lot of people don't want to talk about their inner world. So we are being a little bit sneaky and talking to you about your outer world and giving you a quiz so you can do this in the privacy of your own head.
Yeah.
And the quiz results basically will tell you where you're at as far as an archetypal stage of page, knight, prince, king, sage. These are the stages, developmental stages of men in the medieval, kind of archetypes. But it'll help you understand if you're just starting out. Say you're like 20 and you just moved out of your parents' house and you're trying to figure everything out. You're going to be at a different place than someone who's in their 40s and has a family and is divorced or whatever. There's totally different stages. All of it's good. Just finding out where you are is what's important. So the quiz link will get you to that archive, to all of those resources, and everything in there. They're gold because they are these simple action steps. They're basically homework assignments, things to do, checklists, and it's all just tangible and quick with great results.
And honestly, the information too is based on things that we've experienced. So they're rooted in very deep, what we consider meaningful wisdom, things that are going to make a difference when you use them, not just something hopefully you've heard 1,000 times and you're wondering, oh, well, I just gave my email out to read the same thing again. Hooray.
Well,
that won't be that way.
If you've heard it 1,000 times and you haven't taken action, then maybe that's the thing too. This time, take the action and do the thing, even if it feels silly to take these small actions. They add up so fast, and they will create a forward movement so fast. And months will go by, and then you can look back and see where you were, and it's incredible stuff.
And finally, if you're a joiner, we have a Skool group for you where we go deep, and we are building a community for men to do this, to take this in a very serious way. We have lots of materials there that you're not going to find anywhere else. And the link, of course, for the Skool group will be in the description as well. Now, keep in mind, it only takes one aha moment, one idea, like one concept to pop into your coconut for you to go, and it can change the course of your life. Now, I was one of those people that wanted to have like a 50 pack of aha moments all within a month. Guess what? It never happened. But I had one aha moment about that process, and that was worth 1,000 more. So that's our goal, is to give you a big aha and resources to do something about it in a community, and two amazingly adorable people who love you to death and want to help you have the things that we do. We want this for you. And this is the whole point behind why we're doing Real Talk for Men.
If you're watching this on YouTube, we're obviously in a public venue, and the things we talk about are going to give you probably 25 to 30% of the possibility of things we can talk about. Our Skool group is a private space, so there's really no limits to the questions you can ask, the things we can talk about. It's not going to be shared publicly anywhere. So if you want to talk to either one of us or both of us, that's all available there. We really wanted a space where it could be kind of off in the private room, because again, with a public venue like this, we want to be visible, and we want to offer that deeper, ask the questions you really want to answer, and the venue for that.
Yeah. And if you like being around a couple that's really willing to talk about anything, and we mean it, and you would like to learn what it would take for you to have the same kind of blessing in your life, that's part of this too. It's what we do, and we want you to have it. So take us up on it. And if you have any questions, if anything in this whole conversation that we had brought up any questions, if you'd like like your own life story to share, we love comments and we love to interact. So please, by all means, whenever you're catching this, let's participate.
See you next time.
I did the finger point.
Yeah, don't do that. You've gotten feedback to not do that.
Yeah.